My 40F husband, 41M, always compares me to his friend's wife, 23F, and calls her the ideal wife. My husband and I just celebrated our 8th anniversary, but have been together since we were both juniors in college. We also have a 4-year-old daughter together. After we graduated college, we moved to San Francisco because he was a computer science major and wanted to work in big tech, while I was an anthropology and English grad and did teach for America. While I understand my job isn't as lucrative as his, all those years we lived together before marriage, I always prided myself on paying all my personal expenses out of my own account and taking care of all the household logistics to make up for only paying 1/4 of the rent of our apartment. However, the man my husband was back then was supportive about my goals and didn't ever make me feel like we had to keep score about who contributed what or who was entitled to what as a result. I have great admiration for my husband and recognize that he is an extremely talented software engineer who came from nothing. However, the way he has been acting recently has definitely made me question if this is still the same man I married. My husband was working for a very large corporation and getting good raises, but a friend of his asked him to become a technical co-founder for a business idea. I encouraged him. We moved to a pretty cramped apartment, went through our savings, and I defended him when people would say, all they really have is an idea. My husband and his partner were rejected by dozens upon dozens of investors, had to let employees go because they couldn't afford salaries, dealt with the fact that every business hopeful in town was basically willing to betray them to get ahead. At one point, his co-founder moved into our apartment because his wife was divorcing him, saying she was sick of him never having time for her. Finally, the business started taking off and we had put off marriage and kids because he said he wanted to be able to support a family. After that, he proposed and I was happy to sign a prenup, especially since I assumed I would continue to work right before the birth of our daughter. However, his company decided to move their main headquarters to Tennessee for business reasons, and so we moved there. Right after the move, I gave birth, and that is when things started to change. He was big in the entrepreneurial circles there and took up horseback riding and golfing. Through that, he started meeting new friends who were in their successful men in their late 30s, who were outwardly conservative but also lived the fast life. I did not like a lot of them because they would say really rude things about women sometimes and generally were pretty dismissive of others' feelings when push comes to shove. Around that time, his co-founder, and probably the friend he spends the most time with, before and now, decided he was sick of having short-term relationships and decided to get married this year. His wife is 23 years old to his 40, almost 41. And 1 month after having their son, she was back in a bikini looking better than she did pre-baby. Let's just call her Anna. Anna stopped working when she began dating his friend and basically posts about how much she admires her husband every day. She also fights a lot of his battles for him, basically arguing with others on his behalf when her husband feels slighted and will blast these arguments out on social media. Whenever we socialize with them, I always catch him looking at them with a wistful look in his eyes, before looking at me with a lot of scorn and resentment. He has been coming home late for the past year, and these late-night disappearing acts have only increased. He will stink of booze when he finally lays down next to me. His comparisons of me to his friend's wife have now started in earnest. He will criticize my career, saying that being basically a librarian is boring, that I don't earn that much. Plus asks why I cannot be like his friend's wife Anna, who just does secretarial work for free for her husband and devotes her time to figuring out how he can make more money from his investments and such. He calls it my annoying working mom routine even though I am the one who does all the childcare and housework. He will complain that I cannot just drop everything at work to go on an impromptu 2-hour workout with him because he usually can leave work whenever he wants. And whenever his friend wants to do something spontaneous, his wife Anna will drop everything to go with him. He has gone from an average build to working out all the time and decided to get Botox and veneers he didn't need. He encouraged me to get fillers and Botox to stop my eyebrows from raising, saying even if I get too much it is better than wrinkles and will wear off. He got mad when I didn't, saying Anna knows a good doctor, works out every day, and got a tummy tuck. Whenever we fight now, he goes straight for the jugular and will point out that his single friends are having a better life than he does. He tried to hold our prenup over my head, saying that we weren't at the 10-year mark so I'd barely get anything. He calls Anna the ideal wife and wants me to hire a nanny and maid so that I could be as energetic as her. All throughout this, he claimed to be a completely faithful husband, which I doubted. I read every midlife crisis book available basically and tried everything. I planned date nights, went on 5 a.m. workouts with him, used up all my vacation time to be there for him. But my efforts were reciprocated with criticism. He would say I could not keep up with him, that I looked tired all the time, etc. Finally, I followed him and caught him going to a strip club. His only explanation was that Anna lets her husband go to strip clubs and does threesomes with him, and tried to turn this into convincing me that cheating was okay and I should participate when he wants it. I am so disgusted with him and I consulted with a divorce lawyer. She looked over our prenup and says that in her experience spouses sometimes use things like 10-year clauses to justify them nitpicking everything, like a "what have you done for me recently" type of thing, and that it will probably get worse since we are approaching 10 years and he may be thinking about whether or not to divorce me. She predicted that he would be a high conflict ex but asked me if I thought he would try to divorce me before the 10 years are up. I honestly do not know and really am afraid of what this would do to our daughter. I keep hoping this is a midlife crisis he will apologize for and forget. But I am so miserable right now. He has an ideal of an ideal wife and I am failed to measure up. What do I do? I'm really sorry, but there's absolutely no saving this marriage. And I can't think of any reason why you would want to try. I fear he's going to be especially nasty during divorce. But could you imagine making yourself trying to suffer through 2 more years of this? Info at 10 years what happens? Equals split? If so, I would hold out until the day of. But move as far along the process you can prior. Unless you have a cheating clause. Full score he already is. He's allowed himself to become a parody of a middle-aged man. How sad. I hope you can hold out for 10 years and take it all when you have evidence of him cheating. I don't know for sure, but the religious states tend to look unfavorably on infidelity. Time to hire a nanny and maid and act like you are there to support him. Hand him divorce papers at 10 years and 1 day. Birds of a feather flock together. He showed that he would leave you for a 23-year-old. Which, by the way, his friend is wrong, which only makes his opinion worse. I don't know what's with these Leonardo DiCaprio wannabes, but they usually come in groups. Men who specifically date that young in their 30s and 40s usually have friends who either agree with them or also have young partners. Divorce is the right option. He stopped seeing you for you. They had a name for this in the 90s. Resulted in a good movie. Op. You are the first wife. The one who got him through the rough stuff until he gained success. Now he is going to retire you so that he can have all the things he wanted out of a fun wife who wouldn't have had the strength or compassion to help him through the hard times. Take him to the cleaners. You need to have an exit strategy that maximizes what you can before 10 years. Because I'm pretty damn sure he's going to file divorce papers at 9 years 11 months. Just to maximize the control and pain. Just from what you've written, I can tell you are a survivor. A strong person who will find a way to provide for your daughter and yourself no matter how this ends up. In order to do so, you need to emotionally start distancing yourself from this husband replicant. It will also help you figure solid future plans. If you aren't mourning the life you once had, keep talking to your lawyer. In your shoes, I wouldn't want to stay married to him. She can help you figure out the best exit strategy. You did the right thing consulting a lawyer. This, as you know, is not the man you married. Midlife crisis or not, how far will he go with this? He has a warped view of what a healthy relationship is. Sounds like he wants an employee he has sex with rather than a partner. F this guy. Don't focus on the BS comparisons and him putting you down. Focus on exit strategy and your daughter. Reach out to friends and fam that you trust that might be able to help you get back on your feet. Ask him if he thinks Anna would wipe his ass when he's too old to do it himself. What an asshole. What an awe. You supported him all those years while he had nothing. Had his back. While Anna just showed up when their business was already running and successful. What exactly is your profit in 10 years to when you divorce him now? What if he starts the divorce? Can you try to live mostly separate without being divorced? No unnecessary interacting. You should try to secure the finances and all needed papers about the income situation of the business. If he goes to strip clubs, he uses money. Not that he burned through all your money till the divorce. Follow your attorney's advice. She seems to know what is what. You need to wait until you have that money or 10-year mark. Don't let him antagonize you. Placate him until things are safe. Do the tiny things that take no trouble. Get the damned Botox, lady. It's no big deal. It does wear off. Spend some of his money, go to a spa week in Cali or Texas. Wear a designer handbag. Play the game when you can dump him, do it. And stop worrying about what it will do to your daughter. You're taking too much responsibility for this. He is into Anna and a loser, cliché of an emotional abuser. I'm sorry you are going through this. Did your attorney mention that if you can make it to 10 years, you can probably claim a portion of his Social Security benefits? Can you file for a legal separation? What impact would a legal separation have on the prenuptial agreement? He does sound like he's doing through a midlife crisis. But where is his appreciation for you as the mother of his child? As an educated woman? As his biggest cheerleader? You and I both know you can work out from dawn to dusk and your 40-year-old body is not going to look like a 20-year-old body again. I am almost 60 and our bodies change as we get older. I like to think that one day your husband will come to his senses. But he may not. Perhaps he was always superficial. The veneers and Botox just scream infidelity to me. What does the prenup say about infidelity? If you signed the prenup in California but you now reside in a different state, does that state recognize it? One last thing. It sounds like you have your hands full with housework, work and childcare. Can you at least get some occasional help for household chores? I wish you the best. Why would you celebrate being with this ballsack for 8 years? Why would you sign a prenup after this man ran through your savings for the business? I hope you're getting a cut. If not, that was stupid on your end. He's gearing up to leave you and be a creep to a 20-year-old sugar baby like his friend. Peter Pan syndrome. This was a long post, but it was so interesting that reading it wasn't even a big deal. Great job writing it all. You're quite organized. You seem to be completely right that your husband is no longer the man you married. And especially not the man you met. In retrospect, the prenup seems to have been a terrible idea. And they're really not something anyone should be happy to sign after so much prior commitment. You gave everything for this man just for him to put you below him. Act like you're his property. And trap you in this marriage. On the other hand, he was likely not a person with a strong moral backbone to begin with. A more humble person would see the country club rich men's lifestyle ruining his marriage and family and run the other direction. He seems to have justified his association with bad influences on the idea that he became successful, ignoring the fact that you are directly responsible for that success, probably even more than he is. At least in my mind. It's a lot harder to commit your entire life to a risk someone else is taking than to take that risk for your personal benefit. Consulting a divorce lawyer for options and going to therapy to sustain your personal health is probably the only way to get through this. He's not going to get over this. Or at least even if he could, you shouldn't count on it. Don't try to live up to his expectation of you to be a personal piece of property for him. It's degrading and inhumane. I don't know if it's the sunk cost fallacy or what, but I would be trying to leave this marriage taking my entire fair share of its assets. Settling for anything less just seems depressing and like letting the bad guy win. You can probably keep the marriage functioning long enough to serve him papers and collect on the whole ordeal. Hold out if you can for 10 years. He isn't the man you married. I am so sorry that you are going through this. Start putting aside your own money in a separate account. You stuck through the startup years and now he wants a younger, newer model to complete his successful look. My aunt did something similar and they divorced when my cousin was 18. I'm pretty sure my aunt hated her life for a lot of years but just shut up for her kid. Just think of what you want the next 10 to 20 years to be for you and your kid. You have a job. You have your sanity. Unlike him, you do not need him.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.